right, welcome to another session. We had a question here that we're going to start addressing around open houses. And, you know, you're at the point where you host an open house and then you get these visitors, these guests, they're signing in and what to do with them essentially, right? And I think, for really kind of when you break it down to two classifications of open house guests, you can start with they're working with an agent or they signed in with an agent or they signed in unrepresented. And I think for me to play this game, continually in a just treat others the way that you'd want to be treated type of concept, right? Golden rule type of way of life. Like I would not try to target open house guests that have signed in saying they're working with an agent already, especially from the standpoint of like if you're really trying to target them to steal them away and work with them yourself, that's just it's very likely to get back to that agent, right? And like I went to this open house, I signed in and said I was working with you, and this person called me the next day and asked if I wanted to work with them. It's gonna come back. So just be careful with that. So that leaves all the people that sign in without an agent. And frankly, that's why you do open houses, right? If you're a listing agent hosting your own open house, like it becomes double-sided to where let me host an open house for my benefit to meet new buyers, but let me get this thing sold that I'm representing. You taking the time to host open houses is for the benefit of experience, but more so for meeting new people. So then the question becomes, okay, what now? You got to further break down, right? Of like, all right, they're looking to do something right away. They're ready to buy. They're ready, willing to enable. They're pre-approved. They're not working with anybody, and they sign a buyer agency agreement with me. Game on, great. Doesn't always play out that way. Keep in mind, you know, unrepresented buyers going to an open house to look at homes are probably doing just that, looking at homes and maybe starting the process out. They may even be like, just assume that people are calculated and methodical about things, and they may be going to open houses strictly to interview an agent to find out who they want to work with. Because what better way to like prove it as an agent than how you perform hosting an open house, right? You're on stage at that point. So keep that in mind. But ultimately, you know, I don't think there's a magic bullet that comes with this answer of what to do with the data, the people that you acquire, so to speak, from hosting an open house, other than the same thing that you'd be doing with everything else in terms of nurture it and be consistent with it, stay in front of it, attempt to build a relationship with them, and go on that process from there. To get more tangible, like you hosted an open house yesterday, Sunday, Saturday, over the weekend, whatever. It's now Monday. Give them a call to start out. Hey, met you at the open house at 123 ABC Main Street. Not sure if you looked at other open houses that weekend as well, but I just wanted to follow up with you to see what you thought about that property, if it was something that you're interested in, yes or no. If no, dig from there. Are you in the market right now? Are do you have a timeline of when you're looking to buy? Get through those questions: who, what, where, when, why, how. As much as they'll allow you to, consult at that point in the relationship with them. So you may find out that a lot of these, they're just not ready to talk to anybody. They're not ready to do anything formally in terms of buying or selling. You may find that out, and then I think a big, you know, powerful type of notion with this business is asking for permission to follow up, right? And especially with these people that were a stranger to you up until yesterday when you saw them at the open house. And now, good on you, but you're following up with them to see if there's the ability to be, you know, more than just strangers, more than just open house guests at the open house I was hosting, right? Like, ask for permission if it's okay that I contact you again based on what you've talked about. But there's really just there's no magic bullet type of dynamic and play with it. It's more so how consistent can you be with, attempting to communicate with people, but then also like, what is it that you're communicating itself? And is that enough to um, reel them in, so to speak, right? So what I would do in order to attack this the right way, come up with a list of questions that you could pull from that would be appropriate for like after open house type of follow-up. And then just see how far you can get. Not every, listen, as we know, not only is not everybody going to want to talk to you, but 95% of the time they're not going to want to talk to you, and or timing's not going to be right. That's how this game goes. So develop thick skin, you know, understand the number of at bats that's needed in order to convert, and keep swinging away.
How often should I met someone at an open house a few weeks ago. They said they wanted to buy in like 5 to 6 months. How often should I be following up with them?
What was the last step that you left off on with them?
I was trying to get them set up on a MLS search.
Okay.
I'm trying to set up forward them on an MLS search. He said, I'm not interested right now, but I appreciate you reaching out. So they're not looking for another 5 to 6 months.
Okay. So just keep in mind the mistake. That was good.
Yeah.
So the question is, how often, if somebody's 6 months out from doing anything, how often should I be following up? Was the question that Antonio had. And, my response on is it depends. And it depends largely on what you teed up that you're going to do with them next and that you have permission to do with them next. Right. So this permission concept just worked its way back in, right? To where like, the next time around you follow up, if it was a few weeks ago, I would try now.
Yeah.
And just, hey, last time we spoke, I know you're not ready. I know you're not going to be ready in 5 months or so, but like, what I'd like to do is set up that MLS search so that you can at least be aware of what's out there. And that way, as you get closer to being ready, you've got a good, indicator of what this market's like, what homes are popping up in this location you're looking at and in the price range. If he rejects you again, hey, no problem. Would you be okay if I tried you, say another couple months? Maybe you're closer at that point to being ready. If he says no again, just I would just come out with it at that point. Like, do you not want me to call you ever again? Right. And just okay, at least at that point you know. Now, unless it's totally violating TCPA compliance and they're on the do not call list and they've opted out in writing to not contact them anymore. In that example, I'd be calling again in 3 months. Yeah. Right? Just with that specific context. Yeah. Other contexts, like if somebody tells you stop calling me, then yeah, stop calling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the God, it's gonna be tough for me to find this. I wish I could, but there's like in any sales industry, understand that basically the numbers boil down that you're gonna convert 80% of your sales between attempts 6 and 12. Okay. So like the data gets to that point to where it's like on the first attempt, 1% of sales are converted. In the second attempt, 3% of sales occur, so on and so forth, to where 80% of sales occur between attempt 6 and 12. So if you just follow up to call somebody and chase them once, twice, 3 times, thinking you're doing a lot, don't get me wrong, that's great activity so far, but like, doesn't play out that way. Now, here's how I want you to think of this. You're now in a sales profession, all of you, right? And you're going to build that background and that the characteristics to yourself even more. understand that there's plenty of other people out there that you're gonna come across that are also in sales careers themselves. And there's a certain level of respect that is earned and given among salespeople. Right? So like this may just be extreme me and this never happens elsewhere, but I think I'm onto something when it's like if somebody's trying to sell me something in whatever industry, like I'm gonna test them out a little bit. Like you gotta earn it. So just understand with some people there may be that dynamic involved to where it's like, I know why you're calling. I'm not ready to talk to you yet. And maybe I will talk to you, but let's see what you got. I'm certainly not going to talk to you if you just try to get me once. Whether intentional or not, the unintentional part would be like they don't remember you. The intentional part would be like they haven't earned my business. So keep that in mind that there's a certain level of gamesmanship involved with this stuff. The short answer to this question is consistency, right? Consistency combined with proper messaging and value to that messaging, right? And like, what you're saying when you're following up matters. And that's all, at this point with like leads that aren't qualified, that you haven't consulted formally with, it's all about them. Like what you're following up with is basically, what is it that you need help with and what can I do to help? And then here's how I can help. Right. So a lot of what you should be thinking about when you're thinking about what to say should be geared towards that who, what, where, when, why, how list of questions that you have at your disposal to ask them. And what I mean by that is like you should all be creating a list of like those types of questions that you can familiarize yourself with and you can practice and you can just have as a guide next to you while you're lead generating, making calls, whatever you want to call it, right? Maybe something that you need to like laminate and tape to your car dashboard or whatever, so you can just familiarize yourself that much more with it. But that sort of muscle building process, it's important for it to play out. Is that helpful on the open house follow up or any lead follow up conversation?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Cool. All right. Got an agenda today. I always do, but the first thing I want to point out is, well, I'd like to make a push rather. Like I want to be involved with all of your offers. Okay. So if you're writing an offer, just get with me so that I can help you with it. And one of the ways I can help is to contact the listing agent that you're submitting the offer for. Because it's going to go a long way when, hey, just Lauren's here in front of me. I'm looking at her. Lauren, I know she submitted an offer on ABC Street. Just wanted to let you know. I'm helping her with this. I'm working with her. We're partners. You're in great hands with her. Feel free to contact her directly, but if you ever need anything, I'm a phone call away as well. There's just a certain level of, confidence or comfort that you're creating when you're doing that. And no offense to anybody in this program, but you're new, right? So you either don't have the experience, don't have the reputation, other agents don't have the knowledge of you yet, right? Some familiarity there. So when they're getting a call from, not to be arrogant, but me, that, generally speaking, I'll have that experience and reputation. And I hate sounding arrogant in this discussion, right? But you get where I'm coming from. Like, take advantage of it. It does win you deals. Like I could tell you that this is something that even with my team, Anthony and myself, like we make this mandatory for our agents that do a lot of business as well and have relationships out there in the real estate community. But like it goes a long way when, somebody else is getting, another agent is getting a call from somebody else that has already called them or, like you as the agent have already called and presented your offer and found out what you need to find out and put in a good word in. And now they're getting a call from somebody else to do the same. you should be having that same similar type dynamic play out with your loan officer. That's working the file. And just as a teaser, on Wednesday in the market center, we're hosting premium in for lunch and a session at 11 a.m. That's really kind of geared towards this topic of like how to take advantage of, excuse me, a lending partnership to be able to do more business with it. And these lenders that are out there that are good and hustling will have a similar type mentality around this concept and be willing to do those things for you. So make sure you take advantage of it. Okay. I'm gonna circle back around to, I've got a topic, but it kind of plays into the topic of the organization chart for your business, which is one of the key tools that you need to have as a business owner. And, you know, just for example, like myself, I'd be your coach or accountability partner, your mentor, whatever you want to describe it as, right? But that's a position in the org chart of your business, right? You have, you know, somebody like Haley, for example, in the market center on the marketing side, as how to treat, you know, a position for yourself as a resource to the business in all things marketing command, however you want to think of it, for example, right? Like attorneys and lenders, you know, probably the most obvious examples of this as you being, you know, an independent business owner that needs to take advantage of other resources and you know, create positions for your company. Like you have to have a good attorney, have to have a good loan officer to really make this business go the way that you want it to. I'm going to take this a step further. And, you know, the concept of a vendor list, right? Of a list of resources of, you know, local contractors, companies that do all the things out there that you could think of, any given topic that's relative to a home. You really need to focus on building this out so that you have the resources available so that when you achieve the objective of being the resource of choice for all things real estate for your people, and they call you for a plumber because they think of you because their sink is leaking and they sell homes and they must have a plumber, and let me call them, like, you better have a plumber. Because if you're just doing the same thing that Google is, that's not a ton of value that you're providing. It better be a like on-call relationship that, you know, like a name drop type of thing that you can present to your people if you're going to go out and offer the service anyway. And in terms of offering this service, it becomes a really, you know, tactical lead generation type of concept when you're able to do that. It's one thing to use a script, like, I mean, relative to the fall and the winter coming up, right? You could contact all the people in your database and, hey, what do you do for your driveway in the winter? Do you hire somebody or do you plow it yourself? So I got somebody who's, you know, doing snow plowing in your area, and I know they've got a pretty good deal, and love to give you their number. Can't really do that without that connection, right? But you can, you know, just that concept of snow plowing was real specific, right? But you could, you know, hey, fall and winter, and there's certain things that need to be done around a home, like snow plowing, leaf cleanup, gutter cleanup, right? You know, just general maintenance and prep. If you got the resources for that you can present to people, you now add to your value of being a resource. If you're presenting it, even if they don't need it, it becomes a good thought that counts type of value. You got to have the list to be able to do it. You don't want to be stuck with Google or Googling it, I should say. Now, here's where it really gets powerful. There's arguably no more powerful style of lead generation than, hey, tell me how your business works. Tell me who your ideal customer is. Tell me how I can refer them to you. I'm going to be out there communicating with a lot of people, and I'd love to be able to give you any opportunity that I can. So if you have business owners in your database already, you need to be having that conversation with them. Because that is a huge opportunity missed if you're not. Because frankly, business is human nature, for good people anyway, becomes reciprocal. Right? To where like, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Not really, you know, they don't necessarily owe you anything until that point happens. So really take the time to focus in and grow your database through business owners. Okay, so this could be an avenue to where it's just like, you know, if you feel you're tapped out with your existing database and there's no other stones to turn over to add to it, well, start cold calling business owners and see if they'd be willing to, you know, talk to you and, you know, tell you what their ideal customer base is, and allow you to market to them, and allow you to refer your people to them. There's power in that. There's results in that more so. What are you hearing when you see the wheels turning?
No, I'm just thinking of. Yeah, you just got me thinking about, yeah, different options. For lead generation. Just thinking.
It doesn't have to be, I mean, I'm thinking of you, but like, keep in mind, like food, for example, if you know other, you know, people that have been in the restaurant business, like, love to send people your way.
Yeah.
What are the specials on Tuesday night? Huh?
There's like a local business, so we plan on calling.
There you go.
if They wanna do like a cheap Monday.
Love that. Love it. I mean, you know what I would do? Just try the like, tell me who your ideal customer is. I'd love to be able to get people in front of you. And then maybe on the next time around, a coupon for me or anything I can include for my newsletter. Right, but this way they've heard from you. Because just the concept of like whatever tactic you're gonna use, it becomes more powerful and less awkward when it's, you know, you can hit people with something on different way that when that you can do it differently on the 10th time you talk to them versus the first,
Mhm.
right? So if you're just,
Comfortable with them.
yeah, if you're constantly communicating with people and, you know, getting to a point where you're lead generating with these types of tactics involved, like it gets a lot easier to be like, oh, next concept up. I haven't used that one on them. Let's give it a shot.
You guys permission if to include them, too, if I don't call them.
Permission for, I would. Yeah, I would. Just because, you know, you never know. I don't know. I've run into with this tactic, I've run into very few. I always remember a pizza shop that actually told me, it was like, no, no, I don't want it. I couldn't do any more business if I tried, was the guy's response. Okay, good for you. No problem. That's on the free market. No problem, right? But just to be, I guess, respectful, you know, maybe there's a other relationship that, you know, they would be mad at if, you know, they stepped on those toes types of things, right? But more so is so that you're in interaction with them, right? Now, insert LinkedIn. Make sure you have that for yourself. It's a really powerful database building tool. It's also a powerful platform that, like, I myself underutilize it. I'm not gonna say most agents do, but I feel like, you know, Facebook, Instagram, like LinkedIn is further down the list. Now, you got to be careful with the content if you're going to start building a page and sharing stuff onto it. Like, you know, nobody wants the picture of your dog and cat on LinkedIn, right? You even got to be careful with like in my opinion anyway, like just listed, just sold, this property for sale. I think, it's more so like professional content that you're delivering for people, or, if you're trying to make a hire, for example. So just be careful with flooding that source with, you know, inappropriate, so to speak, content. But the shared connection, I forget what it's called, but just that is a powerful tool in terms of it's gonna link, no pun intended, link you to a lot of shared connections that, you can get deep with. In terms of like, connections of connections, but there's a knowledge of that person too, and like you wouldn't have thought of them otherwise because of the source. So it operates a little differently than, Facebook, Instagram, in my opinion, in terms of that tool, in terms, um to find people, but it's really powerful. I remember when I was a new agent, wasn't in a program like this, didn't have direction. Like back, I don't know if they still do this, but back in the day, there was just like a badge that you earned if you got to 500 connections on, you know, that you're connected with on LinkedIn. So I was like unintentionally building a database that way, not really just wanted that badge so that professionally it looked good, right? And just finding everybody I could. But, for the purpose of building a database with, connections that you already have and you're trying to find them, this could be another source. But also for the purpose of building, a vendor list or additional contacts to add to your database in general, this could be another source too. Questions on this topic? Really, like, if you're a realtor, a real estate agent, business owner, and you're not executing on this topic of having a strong vendor partnership list, arguably you're not in business, because the name of the game is just to be remembered as a real estate resource. That needs to be like, frankly, you're going to spend more time with each contact in your database over the course of your career. You're going to spend more time with them outside of them transacting in real estate, and more time in like just all the things in their home that they're going to need help. You got to make sure that this is solid. But plus just the element of business to business, that's how it works, right? Like it's okay. There's quid pro quo to this game, right? Like, what have you done for me lately type of thing. That's how business goes. Okay. Acknowledge it, lean into it, leverage it to your advantage.
I have, kind of going back to open houses, I was thinking about it, I'm kind of recycling through my database again.
Okay.
Reaching out to people, I had a lady, so 3-4 weeks ago, that near the, open house, she said, she's working passively with an agent already, but thanks for reaching out. What can I say to her? How can I, approach her now? She wasn't signed with anybody. She started working passively with an agent.
So for those that didn't hear that, open house lead from about a month ago, at that time said working quote unquote passively with an agent already
After the open house.
after the open house.
Yeah. Older.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now it's been about 4 weeks and
Recycling.
time to follow up again, right? Good. So I would, with this, I would be, I mean, here's an aggressive version, I guess, is, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but we spoke about a month ago after the open house in Greece, whatever. When I followed up, you had told me that you were working passively, in your words, with another agent. Has that agent gotten aggressive and really helped you the way that you need to be helped? Because if not, I'm here. And I'd love to just start by having a conversation and see what your goals are and what the timing of those goals are, and help you with a game plan from here, no matter what when you're looking to do it. not even that good. It's just something.
It's something.
You know, it's not about, and I say it that way because I don't want to encourage like perfection when it comes to what to say. Because you may get yourself all worked up, practice this routine, the script that you have for this specific lead, you know, muster up the courage to call, and then shit don't pick up. Right? Right? So it's just, you know, be prepared. Don't get me wrong. But it's just, you know, there's value in consistency when it comes to people. Yeah. Just saying something, saying it well enough to where like the intention of like, hey, I'm not, you know, trying to push or rush you or anything. I'd love the opportunity to help. If there's anything I can do right now or in the future, let me know. But also then quickly reckon like where you do need to be on your game, if she gives you the opportunity to communicate further with her, right? Start digging, right? Because that's if you don't have, you know, if you're not prepared to do that, then well, great. This guy's hungry. He's consistent. He's not really giving me too much value to grab onto to want to work with. I don't want to get into a, you know, agent relationship with somebody that's just aggressive to try, but you know, isn't really doing anything to help, right? Um, all right, I'm gonna wrap up the vendor database, or the vendor list concept here. I don't know if I shared it with this group or not, but well, here's a specific lead generation tactic. Okay? I think I did share it around insurance. I may have shared it in the format of like an annual review that you can do with your everybody in your database every year. But specific to the insurance piece, I followed up with our friends at Elmwood Insurance and got with both the owner and the sales director and told them that, you know, hey, I really want to, you know, lead and push and train our agents to take advantage of a lead generation strategy for them to where they're making a link for the people to in their database to you as an insurance provider to help audit policies and see if people are properly covered and are getting fair rates. And wanted to make sure that I connected with them before just, you know, make the attempt of opening the floodgates and pushing everybody to do this. I've done that and they're ready for you. Okay. So in the update this week, I'll send you Corey Keebzak, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, of Elmwood Insurance. He's the sales director that is teed up to hear from you first. I would recommend like, hey, I'm going to be doing this. I just want to make sure you know who I am, you know, so you have the context if anybody calls you, that you know that I exist type of thing, right? And that why you know why they got your number from me. From there, this is like even if they don't, this is a script for everybody in your database because it'd be very rare to not own a home or have a car. Right? I mean, I guess it's possible, but it'd be pretty rare to not have a car, you know, in our market these days, right? So everybody has insurance. So to contact everybody in your database to say, hey, one of the things that I you know, like exchange pleasantries. How's the dog? How's work? How's life? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, the reason I'm calling, one of the things I like to do for my people is to find a way to like provide value in other areas outside of real estate. And I found a really good connection with a good insurance contact that likes to audit people's policies to see if there's the ability to save any money for you or to make sure that you're properly covered. So if you'd like, I can give you somebody's number to call if you'd be interested in taking the time to do that on your own. I've found it to be pretty effective and hearing back from, you know, been doing this all month and heard back from a lot of people that I ended up saving some money. So if you'd be interested, I'd be happy to give you this number. Now, The one thing I'll tell you about Elmwood is they're not the insurance provider that's just here for cheapest coverage possible. Like, they don't want to do business that way because insurance is kind of a funky industry or just concept in general. It's a really funky industry right now, but the concept of it in general is like everybody hates insurance, everybody hates paying it, especially when they don't need it. But then when you need it and need to use your insurance, you're gonna wish you had paid for good coverage. Because you could pay into something that ends up screwing you over because you don't have the right coverage and now you're not, really getting out of the situation whole or, in a beneficial manner. So these, the people at Elmwood are trained and run their business to where it's like, we're not just going to give the crappiest coverage out there. We want to give good coverage at fair rates. Now, also understand this perspective. Like, it clicked with me, not perspective of not everybody out there just wants the cheapest coverage possible. Clicked with me a couple of years ago where, to get personal, we're the house in the neighborhood where, all the kids in the neighborhood hang out because just personal preference on our end, rather have them at home versus out in the wild, right? So it clicked with me, it's like somebody's gonna get stabbed in the eye with a stick or something, and I'm gonna get sued and lose everything. So I called our insurance provider in Elmwood and said, jack it up. This is what we got. What do I need to be properly covered? And he found some elements that needed improvement. So have the perspective that not everybody has the perspective out there. It just wants the cheapest insurance possible for crappy coverage. There are people that are okay with paying a little more, but if they need to use that coverage, they're going to use it. But you talk about bringing value to your database and lead generation with tactics. Like, none of this was, are you looking to buy or sell? You calling them, hey, I have a way that may potentially help you. Would you be interested? Salesy? Cool. All right, let me do this. What I introduced them. Right. All right. Here's the topic. This is essentially the market of the moment and likely the market for a lot of moments to come in that, just this generational development, right? To where, the older generations hold more real estate than younger generations is pretty typical for the way things go, right? But this is likely to get worse before it gets better because of affordability issues going on out there right now, right? Like, this was told to me that for a $400,000 house, which is about the median in the country nationally, right? You have to be debt free and making about $114,000 in order to comfortably qualify for that type of purchase. So in some markets, that's the norm, right? Luckily in our market, like, okay, the average price point isn't 400,000. So in theory, that number would be less, but just emphasizing like, that debt-free part and that much income coming in, like we have an affordability crisis on our hands. There's not really a firm end in sight to. So this problem of affordability kind of fuels the issue at hand here to where, break it down here. This chart shows, so really, let's just call it age 50 and above, But, you know, this runs through 1979, so born up to 1979, so you'd be 46, right? Close enough. But for buyers, these numbers total up to 70%. So here to here, you know, Gen Xers up to the silent generation, total 70% of buyers and 80% of sellers. So 70% of home buyers are above the age of approximately 50, and 80% of home sellers are above the approximate age of 50. So follow the money, follow the transactions. You've got 3/4 of real estate transactions right now in the country that are happening with this age demographic. I'm not saying neglect everybody younger than that, but I'm saying there's an opportunity to age up your database. And I think, you know, there's a plenty of young guns in this program, and a lot of you are fresh off of high school still and still have those relationships or, you know of type of stuff with people that you hung out with when you're younger. So strike while it's still fresh. For anybody else, not in that category, like think of relationships that with other family members of the close people in your database. I think you should be scanning everybody in your database and like, is that, you know, do I know their parents? Do I know any uncles and aunts? Right? That sort of stuff. And really finding an opportunity to grow your database on it, on that concept, but then to, you know, provide value to the group of people where the transactions are happening becomes key as well. And don't overthink it, like the insurance example I just gave you, like that, those people, you know, older people are really gonna, you know, frankly, probably appreciate the call more. Just because what, you know, 25-year-old wants to talk about insurance, right? Get older, things get boring and insurance is exciting for some reason. Right? But like just, you know, there's the examples can be endless because it's, you know, the types of value and the, you know, say for example a guide for downsizing or a guide for you know, assisted living or senior living communities locally, stuff like that that you can now target to, you know, this demographic where all the transactions are happening. But you have to at minimum make the attempt to age up your database and make sure that the, you know, the family members that, you know, you already have relationships with, even if it's a snippet of one, that you're covering them with. You can take us further to where it's just, you know, you can get tactical around, hey, how's your parents? How they been? You guys, you know, have you thought about any downsizing type, you know, plans in the future? I specialize in helping a lot of families with that. Frankly, prefer to be involved 5 years ahead of schedule if need be. Start planting those seeds. But this is, you know, again, like market of the moment, but it could be the concept of the market too. Or, I mean, really, this data is telling you it is because here's 3/4 of home transactions, and now you have it refined to the age demographic segment that is making it. That becomes powerful. So if your strategy is to go all in and avoid 50 and over and go all in on 20 to 50, this data is just showing you that frankly that's wrong. Or that your business is only going to be 25% of what the market could be. What do you hear when you hear this? Or what do you think of when you hear this?
a relationship with someone my age and get their aunts and uncle's number and start calling their parents.
I mean, you're sitting here young and have that opportunity, right? Like that. So that day, I mean, this is limiting because I guess it's really not, but like, 40-year-old trying to rekindle high school parental relationships, whatever you want to call it, it's a little different than 20 something. And people will be excited to hear about it. Chances are it's going to be, this is bad, but you're going to make them proud. Probably doing more than what their kids done. So take advantage of it.
Or,
What's that?
or to do to talk to them. And then try to talk to them and
2 for 1.
then.
Yeah. Well, think of the attempts, right?
Mhm.
It's all attempts. It's all people that you can communicate with over time. Don't forget the compound effect and how powerful that is. Right? So, you get your database built as soon as you can and have it be big and plentiful right now, and then you continue to add to it. That's a different game that you're going to be playing 5 years from now than realizing 5 years from now, like, damn it, I wish I would have listened to that bald guy in that training program that I had when I first started. Because it plays out. You got 5 years worth of communication ahead of you versus starting that process then. And that's the business, really. But this is, I mean, again, follow the money, follow the data. It's right here. It's telling you. Roughly 75% of all real estate transactions happen with age demographic of 50 and older. Makes sense too, from the standpoint of like plenty of parental type age people that will buy the first home for Johnny Jr. or help him with it, right? Even if Johnny Jr. is the one that's getting the mortgage and Johnny Sr. is co-signing. Think of it this way, like, whose agent do you think they're using? Big Johnny. Big Johnny's got the money. We're using my agent. So if you just start that relationship building, I mean, it's not even about junior sale, it's about everything. Name of the game is how many people can you develop that relationship with to where they think of you for all things real estate. So play that game with their parents. It's just relevant because there's there's a big logjam right now. People that need to move, that can't move, don't want to move. So the more relationships you have, don't get me wrong, with people spread across all age groups, but to understand, like, if you're going to intentionally go provide value that's designed to convert into transactions sooner than later, this is who's transacting. What else I got teed up? Another fun stat, 70% of buyers are sellers. So just understand that if you have a buyer lead, 70% of buyers are sellers as well. They just may be contacting you about buying, or the initial questions asked are about buying.
So if there's some sentiments and I'm selling,
Mhm.
do you have any advice for me?
What do you mean? Tell me more.
I have a potential client that they have to sell or they can buy. And they really don't know anything, and I don't know anything about real estate.
Well, you're good, because one, it needs to be listed. We'll help it, right?
Yeah,
I would just focus on the plan for their purchase to start with. In this market, that's the difficult part, right? Like selling the home is gonna be when you're ready. You know, things tend to fall into place, right? Now, don't get me wrong, don't just take that literal and avoid the conversation of them selling. Because if there's things that need to be done in order for them to sell, you know, effectively, you're gonna wanna have them jumpstart on that as well.
Mhm.
But to just, you know, focus on step one of like, okay, for you to sell. You have to go somewhere. So what does that look like? And also keep in mind, like, this assumes they want to buy.
Yeah.
It's worth noting, some people, they just rent,
Mhm.
sell the home, right? But, so, you know, you know, again, who, what, where, when, why, how? You know, I think in regards to a contingency, there's, you know, a little more in the how section of things, right? And depending on their situation, they may qualify for a bridge loan, for example, so that they can purchase non-contingent. Sell at the same time, try to time it up and not use that short-term interest money or not, you know, not use the money and have short-term interest applied to it.
Would you recommend renting ever too for them?
Depends. It's, you know, really depends, because it's if they don't mind moving twice. If there's a reason why they have to sell soon, but they're not ready to settle into the next home to buy, then renting can be a great option. But I, you know, for the purpose of just like, I guess it would have to be like, why is there a rush to sell if we need to do that? Right? And if there is, okay, meet that objective. But just, I'll tell you, it's in this market where it's a seller's market and the median days on market average is 7. Like, it's not a problem to time things up to where somebody's not stuck in their home or stuck owning 2 homes at once, I should say. So I think, you know, a lot of the how on the buy side is gonna tell you whether or not they can qualify non-contingent. And if they can't qualify non-contingent, you have to be making contingent offers. You know, then it's similar to a lot of buyer conversations in this market where it's like, we've really got to refine the process and refine the search and make sure we're not going to get excited about, you know, the house that's gonna have 10 other offers that are non-contingent on it. And you're number 11 with contingency and in last place because of that. So, that's, DJ Shannon, you got anything?
I guess I have one question. Before you mentioned like trying to be a real estate resource for anyone in your database, I was just wondering like what is something that I can do like today to start learning how to be a real estate resource when I don't necessarily know what I'm doing? Like is there a way that we can like maybe go over like how to do a CMA or something like that?
Yeah. No, we'll get into that and, you know, keep in mind that the training classes and all the other resources. But yeah, I think so just keep in mind, there's like tactics for when you have the business to do. Or like stuff that you need to know for when you have the business in your hands. And then there's the like stuff that is going to show you or give you a guide of how to go get those opportunities to then manage. And we'll spend more time in this setting on that training type stuff that you know we can make more accessible and scalable and also just stuff we're going to be doing together anyway, you know, when the time comes to make sure it's done the right way. But DJ, to like, you know, how do I be a resource? The focus should be I am your resource, bring it on. And when somebody comes to you with something to help on, like you all have the support to take advantage of So the best thing you can do is legit. I'm not even trying to tie it into it today, but the best thing you can do is to build a vendor list to be able to communicate that with your people as a resource. Because right now you just want to fight timing of everybody's lives, and you just want to be a resource to the plumbing leak that they have under their sink, for example. All right, y'all. So just a reminder, Monday's Labor Day, so we won't have the session Monday. But you'll get some content to replace it some way, somehow for the week. Let me know what you need this week. Put me to work.